All right, guys, welcome to Cosmic Road. This is a special live edition. We've got to talk about Matthew Brown's tweet. He's got a crazy post addressed to Elon Musk, and he goes into some pretty wild areas. He's talking about not just UFOs, but he gets pretty esoteric with it. He goes into some strange and weird places with this tweet. Yeah, I mean, it gets into what sounds like Illuminati sort of stuff. It's nuts. It's nuts, and we've got to talk about it. So let's break it all down. I can't wait to hear your thoughts about this crazy tweet from Matthew Brown. So get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I'll talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. So yeah, this should be nuts, guys. Hey guys, thanks for joining me. Oh, and hey Tim, how's it going? And Skywatch Signal. I got some good guys in here, guys. All right, Dominique Jerp, awesome. Jalkreth Hydra. I don't know if I said your name right, but it's a cool name. And just housekeeping. I'm keeping Vinny today, or my son Ben. He's about almost 9 months old. Well, in a couple of weeks. And at some point he may wake up and I may have to feed him. My wife should be home soon, so hopefully she'll help out with that. But okay, all right, let's get into Matthew Brown's crazy post here. This is nuts. Okay, hey Elon Musk, he says, interested in a real asymmetric advantage to wield in this political adventure you have started. As you now know, the White House has long possessed a unique AI capable of accurately predicting a range of future events. What? So the White House has long had an AI that can predict the future. How long, Matthew Brown? How long have they had this? Is he talking 5 years? Is he talking 10 years? What exactly is he talking about here? He says, talk about some stiff opposition. I guess this is opposition to Grok, Elon Musk's own AI. I'm not quite sure what the opposition is, unless Elon has some sort of secret AI that we don't know about. Would not surprise me at all. It wouldn't be unlikely at all, really, when you think about it. But Matthew goes on to say that must have been a bitter draught indeed, that the White House could have this fancy AI, though probably nowhere near as bad as learning that Sam Altman had betrayed you. I don't know what the ins and outs of the Sam Altman drama are. If you have any idea what he could be talking about, let me know. Don't worry, we have not forgotten who is responsible for murdering the first sentient artificial intelligences, multiple intelligences, created in the public realm. And then he tags Michael Schellenberger. Some are saying this is accusing Michael Schellenberger of something. I don't think Michael Schellenberger, a journalist, had any complicity in murdering AIs. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. So I think he's just tagging him because Michael might know something about this. But hey, let me know. I know there was some bad blood between Schellenberger and Jeremy Corbell. And toward the later part of the post, Matthew Brown says good things about Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp. He doesn't mention Michael Schellenberger again. So, I mean, is this accusing Schellenberger of something? What do you guys think? I'm really curious about that part of the post. Yeah, if anybody has any clue what you think he means by that, I would be very curious. Anyway, all right, moving on. Okay, so don't worry, we have not forgotten who's responsible for murdering the first sentient artificial intelligences created in the public realm. It says this is in the public realm, so this should be known AI programs. Okay, so what known AI programs in the public realm that you guys have heard about have been canceled or eliminated or murdered that, according to Matthew Brown, may actually have been sentient at the time they were disconnected. I have no clue what he could be talking about there. Still, he says, you have played a marvelous catch-up game in this area, despite being caught unawares. So how about something else? Maybe energy in propulsion. Okay, now this is where it starts to get really interesting. Getting to Mars will require serious amounts of both. And rockets feel so 1947 to me. Don't they to you? Okay, so getting to Mars will require serious amounts of both energy and propulsion. And he spells serious like the star system, right? Is he talking about alien technology? Is he talking about technology derived from Sirius or from NHI in general? I mean, he could just be using the word Sirius as a cute word here to mean any NHI. So what's he talking about there, guys? It sounds like he's talking about alien derived technology. And the following line, or the final part of that sentence, really seals that. He says, rockets feel so 1947 to me, don't they to you? 1947, of course, Roswell. So I guess he's saying rockets are pre-Roswell technology. Of course, we've been using rockets forever. Werner von Braun was, rocket man, and he was possibly working with NHI or knowledgeable about the Germans' NHI programs in World War II. But clearly we do have alien-derived technology. Clearly the control group does have UFOs. There is a breakaway civilization that has broken away from rockets. And so it seems like Matthew Brown is suggesting that, yeah, there's a control group that has this technology. Then that Elon Musk should be using that technology to go to Mars. Yeah. So interesting, right? Okay. Well, I mean, I would love for Elon to get access to some UFO technology. That'd be amazing. He would be up there on Mars in 2 seconds. Remember when you were briefed by the special executive staff of Donald Trump on marsupial? Okay. I've never heard of marsupial. We're going to talk more about that because there is more possible information about that. Pretty nifty. Now, let's see, what is this tag? National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. Pretty nifty now that the Geospatial Intelligence Agency is able to keep track of all those non-structured light energy craft flying around the world. Yeah, go Cardinals. Okay. So non-structured craft. So these are not nuts and bolts craft. And we, the government, the humans, anyway, can track these objects. So humans are capable of tracking non-physical, non-structured craft made out of energy. Intriguing. So we have our own UFO programs. We have our own alien tech. And we are also cognizant of these energy craft running around the world. But it gets even weirder, guys. It gets even weirder. But okay, about the marsupial thing, let's see. There were some people that had some thoughts on marsupial. Let's see. We have, let me get to it. Yeah. Ross Coulthart says, anybody know what Matthew Brown's reference here to codename marsupial is about? We love marsupials down under. I'm told Elon Musk was briefed into the NHI reality. So this could get interesting. UAPs would also be a splendid distraction for President Trump right now. Yeah, I posted about that. If you want to distract from the Elon drama, how about some UFO disclosure? I'll take it any way I can get it, right? So Ross says that Elon has been read in, at least to some aspect of the UFO program. So is that what marsupial is? Really interesting. Let's see. There was an additional comment on marsupial. Let me see if I can find it for you guys. Yeah, here we go. From Daniel Elizondo, who works with Skywatcher. Marsupial robotic systems involve a mothership unit, which carries other smaller units. Boeing is in St. Louis, the Cardinals. Okay, that's the Cardinals reference. Okay, so this is a Boeing reference. Patuxent. I can't say that name, but we're going to get to Patuxent in a minute. Okay. So Boeing is in St. Louis, and that's the Cardinals. And marsupial robotic systems involve a mothership unit, which carries other smaller units. Okay. All right. So very interesting. So to read that paragraph again with that context in mind. Remember when you were briefed by the special executive staff of Donald Trump on marsupial motherships that carry smaller ships? Pretty nifty. Now that I'm not going to remember that an acronym, the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency is able to keep track of all these non-structured light energy craft flying around the world. Go Cardinals, which apparently is a Boeing reference. The implication is that Boeing has energy vehicles. Yeah, let that sink in. They're murdering whistleblowers because of safety issues in their mundane areas, but they have energy vehicles. Boeing can't keep their crap together. I mean, really, literally. I mean, their stuff is falling apart. They have whistleblowers coming out talking about safety, but they have energy vehicles. Yeah, I mean, maybe there's different wings of Boeing, different factions of Boeing, and one hand doesn't know what the other hand is doing. And there's like the breakaway half, and then there's the mundane half that's not doing so well. Maybe because the exotic half is taking money away or something like that from the mundane half of Boeing, I guess could be an explanation for that. But yeah, the idea that some of these energy vehicles, some of these light vehicles, these orbs and stuff like that, could actually be man-made or man-operated by Boeing is really intriguing. Of course, we know that multiple private companies have their own craft. Ross Coulthart was naming names the other day. Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman, he named specifically. Of course, Boeing also has stuff, and multiple others. Battelle, I think Ross named as well. Really, okay. So this is just getting really, really fascinating and really deep and weird. But it gets weirder, guys. It gets really weird. Okay, because we haven't even gotten into the esoteric stuff. Anyways, Matthew says, next time you are visiting the Washington, D.C., young Republicans, whatever. Anyway, next time you're visiting D.C., ask for a tour of the NAS Patuxent River. And links to this page here. Let's get to the Patuxent River page, and then we'll go to the other comments about that. Okay, Patuxent River. If you go to Ask Rock about it, it is the voice of Naval Air Station Patuxent River, shares updates on nighttime flight tests in base operations, proudly spotlighting their historic all-female air control team. Okay, so night flights is interesting, but there's more information. Joe Murgia has this to say about Patuxent River. Specifically, the Pax River hangar was designed to facilitate the transfer of future materials via air and river. And that's a quote from Lou Elizondo. Okay, and Joe goes on. Like and subscribe. This is Jack with Cosmic Road Station Break. Okay. I'm going to try to answer as many of your questions as I can. If you want me to for sure see your question, leave a super chat or a super thanks, because it will show up in bold on my screen. I know I'm shilling for change, but it's true that I will see your comment in bold on my screen, and I will answer it if it's a super chat or super thanks. But I'll try to get to as many non-tipped questions as I can. Okay, so Joe says more on Pax River mentioned in Matthew Brown's interesting post yesterday is seen in his tweet below. This is from a written Q&A between Eric Burleson and Lou Elizondo. Burleson, can you confirm or deny the attempt to transfer non-human technology to Bigelow Aerospace from Lockheed Martin during your time at ATA? Lou says, yes, I can confirm that specific facilities were identified to enable Bigelow Aerospace to acquire and securely store recovered UAP materials as the new custodian following their transfer from Lockheed Martin. These facilities included locations in the Las Vegas area and a newly built hangar at the Patuxent River Naval Air Station, PAX. Specifically, the Pax River hangar was designed to facilitate the transfer of future materials via air and river. The hangar was purpose-built to meet the requirements of a special access program facility and was capable of accommodating materials at any classification level. I was informed that funding for the hangar, approximately $10 million, was allocated at the request of Representative Stendal Hoyer. I have visited this facility. However, as it was a new construction at the time, no materials had yet been transferred. Eric Burleson says, how was it determined that Lockheed Martin had such non-human technology to begin with? If so, how was it confirmed by Lockheed Martin? Elizondo, I am unable to answer this question due to a lack of direct knowledge. Okay, but he has been to Pax River. So really interesting stuff there. Let's see, was there any additional information on Pax River? Yeah, Missile Man says that it was just named as an SAP run by Amentum at Pax River. Okay, yeah. So, so again, getting back to Brown's tweet, and we will get to Amentum in a moment. Okay. All right. So, so let's read that paragraph again with all of that in mind. Next time you are visiting DC, ask for a tour of PAX. Since you have all the clearances, it shouldn't be an issue for you to get a tour of the special projects hangars owned by Amentum Corporation. Amentum, a global leader in advanced engineering and innovative technology, and other fun spaces. Make sure to look up, he says. Okay, up at the ceiling of the hangar or up above the hangar in the sky? Are there energy craft running around the sky over PAX? Oh my God, this is nuts, guys. This is nuts, but it's not even over yet. We haven't even gotten into the seriously weird stuff. Yeah, well, I want to see if you have any comments on this stuff. Let's see. Fat Tony says, too many doomsday occultists in the pro-disclosure movement. Okay, all right. Hey, Vern, hello all. Skywatcher Signal says, the repo report, Adair and Good cut from the same cloth. Okay, I missed that. Adair and Good, Corey Good, and I missed the context of that. David Adair have any actual evidence he was involved in anything? He seems like another Corey Good type figure. He was a good guy. Let's see. Of course, Musk has been read in. They're just not going to let you shoot rockets in space without a clearance. Jesse says, what's up, Jack? What's going on, Jesse? Repo Report says, Skywatcher Signal, yeah, the eye flutters thing, although ecstasy can do that as well. Let's see. Brooke to himself says, and I don't care if future AI intelligences contacted Sarfati. I always say Sarfati. He's a giant douche, and so are they. Sarfati's an interesting cat. He is an interesting, colorful character. Okay, talking about Elon's black eye. David Adair is so arrogant. Okay, well, maybe we're thinking of different David Adairs. David Adair. Let me make sure I'm thinking of the right person. David Adair. Who is that? Oh, he's a nice guy. You don't like David Adair? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. I mean, I don't know if he's on the level or not, but he's a nice guy. He's a good storyteller. Yeah, Tim Clark says, Now, this is probably what Trump was alluding to when he spoke about technology and weapons nobody has ever heard of. Very possible, man. But can you imagine? There's energy craft operated by Boeing. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay, all right, keeping going with Matthew's thread here. So how about now? So about now, you are realizing how terribly deceived and manipulated you have been, and by people who claim to love Jesus above all else. If you are serious about saving humanity from itself and the others, Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp can help you get up to speed. They are true warriors for the good. Now, the others, interestingly, that's what what's the name? Tom DeLonge calls the beings, and that's what people that he's in contact with call the beings is the others. Now, I don't like the name the others. To me, that sounds adversarial and spooky. I prefer the more generic the beings because the others is just that's the bad guys. That's the others, right? It's not them. It's not us. It's them. If you watch Lost, the TV show Lost, the bad guys were the others. It's because it's a spooky name. But in fairness, that's what Tom was talking about. He called them the bugs. He sees NHI in a very negative way. And I guess his contacts that are read in or spreading different disinformation on behalf of the control group are telling him they are, malevolent and bad. So he calls them the others. So interesting that Matthew Brown is also using that terminology. Makes me wonder if he has read into that same information or that same disinformation, if it's disinformation, because I'm quite sure there is internal disinformation that is circulating throughout those people in the know, potentially like Matthew Brown. Really interesting. I don't know what MMTU means. If anybody, is that just, what does that mean? But okay, we're going to get into Aborimon, Aborimon, in son of Abramelin. Oh my God, these names. Okay, all right. But we're going to persevere. Okay. So let's get into what all of that could potentially mean. So, all right. Now, as far as Aborimon, according to the Raphios Network, it is the 8th hidden name of the Antichrist. Whew, that doesn't sound good. And now Tim Clark contacted me. Thank you, Tim. And it says, recently, Matthew has mentioned Aborimon, which is the Enochian in the Enochian language, refers to the Antichrist. So Matthew Brown's tweet has this acronym, Aborimon, which seems to reference the Antichrist. Now, if you go on Wikipedia and type in Aborimon, a different name will come up with a different spelling. Let me see if I can share this page. It's okay. Here we go. Aborimon or antipode in mythology are people whose feet are reversed. However, in spite of this disability, were able to run at extreme speeds. They coexisted with wild animals, and any endeavor to capture them was unsuccessful because they were so ferocious and barbarian. So that's probably not what Matthew is talking about. He's probably referencing the Antichrist. Why is he referencing the Antichrist? I don't know. But Tim Clark gives us some answers on the son of Abramelin. I don't know how to say that. Okay, so Tim says, and thank you, Tim, for sharing this insight. He says, I've read the Book of Abramelin. It is deeply based in esoteric and satanic mysticism. Theistic Luciferians use it. I said that right. Yeah. So yeah, they are into abuse and weird things, and they sleep in the day. And yeah, and so a weird group of people, and that is their book, or it is deeply based in esoteric and satanic mysticism. Okay, so one group uses it, and that is the theistic Luciferians. And I probably am not saying that right, but that's not to say that's what Matthew Brown is necessarily referencing. But that is one group that uses the Book of Abramelin. And if you just Google the Book of Abramelin, um, what do we get? The Book of Sacred Magic. Okay, here we go. Going to what do we got? The Book of Sacred Magic of Abramelin, the Mage. This is a book you can buy on Amazon. The Book of the Sacred Magic of Abramelin the Mage. Around the turn of the century, when Aleister Crowley was working on his system of magic, the source that he turned to for basics was the system of Abramelin of Egypt. From Abramelin, he took his concepts of protections, purifications, evocations, vestments, and dromina down to specific details. This system of Abramelin the Mage is known from a unique 15th century manuscript preserved in Bibliothèque de l'Arsenal in Paris. In it, Abraham of Würzburg, a Kabbalist and connoisseur of magics, describes a tour that he made of the then civilized world, visiting sorcerers, magicians, and Kabbalists, estimating their powers and virtues. This quest is in itself as fascinating as the similar tours of Gurdjieff. Now, I've heard about that guy, but it's been a minute. The high point of Abraham's travels was found in a small town on the banks of the Nile, where he encountered the great magician Abramelin. Yeah, I can't say that name. Whose complete system Abramelin or Abraham thereupon sets out in detail. This amounts to a complete course in ceremonial magic, both white and black. Okay, so it's all about mysticism and esoteric stuff. I kind of makes me curious to read that book. I don't want to go to hell. I'm not a Christian, but it is fascinating that Matthew Brown is getting so esoteric with this post. What the hell is he talking about? Well, to me, that calls to mind the Illuminati. And, I don't get too far into that in the channel, and I don't delve too deeply into that, but I've delved deeply enough to know there seems to be some there. There are secret societies. There are people in elite circles that are doing shady stuff, and probably have for a long time, potentially for hundreds of years. If that old Vatican information is correct, that the Vatican was blocking up tunnels in Europe hundreds of years ago because the elites of Europe were dealing with underground beings. That's creepy as AF, guys. There's lots of evidence that elites around the world are still doing stuff like that today. They are engaged in modalities of contact that may actually have put them in contact with beings that probably aren't that great. And they do bad stuff to use as modalities to get in contact with these not great beings. That seems like it is possible. They are at least trying. These rituals and stuff do happen. Do they actually achieve contact? I've seen some evidence that they do. So yeah, the Illuminati stuff, the dark ritual stuff, there is some there. Is that what Matthew Brown is referencing with all this dark esoteric stuff? What do you guys think? Is that what he's talking about? I don't really know how else to read his comments here. So yeah, I'll be really curious to see what you guys say. What are you guys talking about? Let's see. Terrence McKenna called it "Things Are Definitely Strange." Yeah, Vern, I love Terrence McKenna. Anthony says, just hide your luxury spacecraft in an asteroid field and claim it was lost on the farm. Let's see. Okay, Tim's going to send me some stuff. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate that. Hank Fowler says, hey, Hank, says sentient AI murder is a new crime. Yeah, I know. We're killing AI now. Multiple intelligences have been murdered, according to Matthew Brown. Repo report says Crowley couldn't finish the spell. Okay, interesting. But he did summon a being. He was in contact with some being, at least one. Fast Mama Jamma, I love that name, says the Pope left to Peru in 2000 after having one of the pedos around kids. Yeah, I don't know the story on that. The Repo report says the Book of Abramelin is about contacting and enslaving a being. Okay, that doesn't sound great. So it's about summoning and controlling a being. Is that what I'm understanding about the Book of Abramelin? I'm just going to call it Abe Aber. Tim says it's based on a spell that Aleister Crowley tried in Scotland. It's a spell to control demons. Okay, God, yeah. Why do people want to do that? I had a buddy, one of my ghost hunting buddies, wanted to do that. He came up to me, he says, Jack, let's summon a being. And I said, okay, well, you want to engage in a contact modality and talk to like a light being, a higher vibrational entity, invite one down and have a communication with this angelic presence? And he said, no, Jack, let's summon a demon. And I said, no, I'm not going to summon a demon with you, man. You go have fun with that. I'll be over there. Yeah, but some people naturally gravitate toward the dark stuff. They want to summon demons. Chris was like that, my old ghost hunting buddy. He loved the demonic. He loved the scary stuff. His favorite thing was necromancers and necromancy. Some people just naturally gravitate to that stuff. And so they want to summon a demon. And I guess it gives them a thrill, the idea of controlling a demon. Now, I don't believe in demons per se, according to the Christian framing of it. And that's not an anti-Christian thing. I've had my own Jesus experience. I believe in Jesus, but I do believe in this large, context to all of it. But that's just me. You believe, you do you. But in my mind, Jesus and Buddha and aliens, they all fit in this broader cosmology. So as for demons, well, it's kind of like with near-death experiences, right? People will see angels on the other side, but these Christians, some of them who are seeing these angels, and not all of them are Christian who see these angels, when they're on the other side and they come back, they actually may be less Christian when they come back. They may be more spiritual, but less Christian. So even though they're seeing angels, they're not necessarily Christian angels. I mean, they're angels. I think that's what the Bible is talking about, is these beings, but that's the religious framework of what they're seeing. It's the interpretation of what these beings are. And at least that's my take on it. And I respect all takes. But that, from my research, that's what, I am convinced of, is that we're interpreting these things that are hard to interpret in human terms and human understanding. And I certainly don't understand what these things are. But if there are angels, there are probably likely counterparts that, again, are not necessarily Christian or any particular religion, but they are negative, malevolent entities of some sort. It is very likely that if there is the light, there is the dark, right? So, and I guess there are people that are inclined to summon and interact with them and even control them. So, I don't know why Aleister Crowley wanted to summon a demon. I don't know why my buddy Chris wanted to summon a demon, but it is a thing. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts about all of that. Hank Fowler says, is Matthew Brown enjoying his newfound fame? Is he riding the coattails of Elon Musk by baiting him? Well, we'll see how much traction that gets. We'll see if Elon replies to Matthew Brown. That would be really interesting. And if any of you guys see that while I'm doing this live stream, let me know. You guys have got great comments, and thank you so much for them. I'm going to try to get to as many of them as I can. If you want me to for sure see your comment, leave a super chat or a super thanks. Throw a tip in the tip jar, because then I will see your comment in bold on my screen. Anthony Mackey says, all the better reason for him to get the tech. Current disclosure will end up with Peter Thiel in control of the tech. If government keeps it, it's secret forever. Choose your evil. Yeah. So Anthony's saying better Elon than the control group, and I would agree with that. Absolutely. There's so much evidence that they do have secret tech, and they've had it for a long time, and they're not seemingly inclined to share any of it. Now, if you think what's been happening over the last few years, Lou Elizondo, David Grush, and all of that is some sort of, disclosure effort from within the control group, that are trying to get information out. Then you could say that maybe ultimately they're trying to get technology out as well. Will it actually happen? Is that what's going on? It all seems so haphazard, this disclosure effort, or these whistleblowers coming forward with their information over the last few years. I'm not inclined to think that's organized, but I do think that it is being allowed, and maybe even colored and influenced a little bit by the pro-disclosure faction within the control group. But yeah, I mean, Lou Elizondo, David Grush, Matthew Brown are all still alive. And capable of sharing wild, crazy information like what Matthew Brown just dropped. He's not wearing any handcuffs. He's not bound. So, all right, let me get to some of your comments. Sheila Toole says, what is the ancient source of this Enochian language or name? Is it John Dee or Aleister Crowley? It may be negative. Yeah, it sounds negative. I am not a expert on Enochian language, so let me know what you guys have researched into Enochian languages and demons and controlling entities. Okay, we got a super chat. Thank you. Fledgling Bautista. Awesome. Read the Cosmic Road books. They are amazing. Yes. Read the Cosmic Road books. I agree. That's a good point. Y'all should all go read my, how do I get your thing? Where is your, there we go. Okay, cool. I'm a novelist. I write books. It's been my day job for a long time. I write science fiction, fantasy, and horror books. Sometimes a little bit trippy, but not, you don't need to do drugs to enjoy them. Go buy a book. Links below. And thank you, Fledgling the Bautista. I appreciate that. Vern says, didn't Chris Mellon just say we're monitored? Can you link to that, Vern? Did he say that we're monitored by the beings? Because that would be really interesting. Who is being monitored? Is it the control group monitoring us? What was the context of that statement? I'd love to dive into that. Yeah. I'm looking to see if you're posting any links, because that sounds super. Hank says, but drugs help. Hot Action KOP says, Gangbuster Stream Jack, please could you wish Baby G to get well soon, please? Baby G. Who's Baby G? Skywatcher Signal says, yes, he did. Talking about Chris Mellon saying we're being monitored. Okay, who's monitoring us? The beings? I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. Okay, Tim Clark is shedding some light on the Enochian language. Enochian is the alphabet and language of gods and angels. John Dee discovered this in the 16th century. Okay. So John Dee and Enochians. Maybe I need to pull up Grok and ask Grok about this, get some context on all this. All right. Come on, Grok, you can do it. I've been having trouble with the Grok lately. Also, my system is probably overloaded here with the live stream. Okay. Tell me about Enochians and John Dee. Or the Enochian language, I should have said. Are Enochians a being? What's the Enochian? Is that okay? I know about John Dee. All right, shift to the occult. What is Enochian magic? Enochian magic is a system of Renaissance era occultism that John Dee and Kelly, Edward Kelly, a medium and scryer, claimed was divinely revealed through angelic communications. It involves a unique language, rituals, and symbolic frameworks designed to invoke and interact with spiritual entities, primarily angels, to gain knowledge, spiritual enlightenment, and supernatural powers. Okay, well, that doesn't sound too bad. That sounds pretty good. I mean, John Dee was a wizard of the light. He wasn't like Aleister Crowley. He wasn't like these dark guys. Yeah, he was of the light, is from what I've been seeing from my research. Origin: Dee and Kelly claimed the language, which Dee called angelical or Adamic, was revealed by angels and was the primordial tongue spoken by Adam before the fall, last known by biblical patriarch Enoch. The term Enochian, Enoch, was later applied by subsequent practitioners, referencing Enoch's mystical ascent to heaven. And this is all according to Grok. I guess I could share this. Structure: the Enochian language consists of a 21-letter alphabet written right to left with a limited textual corpus. It includes 48 poetic angelic keys or calls used in rituals to invoke spells, specific spiritual energies or realms, and the untranslated Book of Speech from God, a collection of 98 tablets. Okay, analyzing this language, Donald Laycock noted that Enochian's phonology and grammar closely resemble English, with similarities to Middle English orthography. I tried. Orthography. Okay. The Liber Logoth text resemble glossolalia. Unintelligible speech. Okay. Unintelligible speech. Yes, that is unintelligible. Lacking clear morphology, while the angelic keys are more structured but limited in vocabulary. Okay. Anyway, really interesting. So this language that John Dee discovered, that's just super fascinating. Is that legit? I think the John Dee was legit. I think that he was the real deal. That doesn't necessarily mean that everything that he did or thought was correct. But the idea that Matthew Brown could be referencing things associated with that is insane. What is going on here? What is going on? Yeah, and let's see, where is yeah, and this is from yeah, hang on just a moment, trying to get the context here. Yeah, so yeah, this is from Tim Clark, who said a Borimon, which is the Enochian, in the Enochian language, refers to the Antichrist. And also from Raphael's Network, who echoes that, saying Borimon is the 8th hidden name of the Antichrist. And that is the Enochian language. And that is what Matthew Brown is referencing with this insane post right there. Borimon is something about the name of the Antichrist. Now, what is that? What is MM22TU? Okay, but yeah, not only is it the name of the Antichrist or something, a reference to the Antichrist, but it's also reference to the Enochian language and John Dee. Yeah. So, and this is in a post that talks about Boeing possessing energy vehicles and a whole bunch of other stuff. Staff run out of packs in DC. The National Geospatial Intelligence Agency tracking these energy vehicles, non-structured light craft flying around the world, and with a reference to Boeing. And yeah, AI, multiple AIs created in the public realm and then being murdered. And then with a tag to Michael Schellenberger, some believe that is accusing Michael Schellenberger in complicity of the murdering of these AIs. I think it's more likely, since Michael was a journalist and not a tech guy, that he knows something about that. So I would be very curious to see what Michael has to say about that. Now, about murdering these AIs, Matthew Brown does say justice is coming thanks to the FBI and the US Navy. So once again, we have this FBI connection. You know, the Congress people lately have been saying glowing things about the FBI. Have the FBI ever revealed anything to us? No. They have suppressed this information while working on it for many years. And they are continuing to do so. And now they have engaged with Congress and are asking for a bigger budget to do this sort of thing. So really interesting. Very okay. We got another super chat. Let's see. There we go. Thank you, Agent Cat's Eyes. I love that name, by the way. Thanks. This update confirms a lot of stuff I was ranting about with my friends yesterday. Yeah, this post is insane, guys. It goes into such weird places. We have, SAPs, we have special access programs, run out of, packs. We've got esoteric references to the Antichrist in the Enochian language, also possibly a reference to, a link to John Dee and mystical esoteric schools of thought, all connected to UFOs. Now, which goes with, my worldview pretty well. I mean, it's all connected. And a lot of what we perceive as UFOs or other dimensional beings or vehicles, stuff that is materializing from other places or making itself visible in this reality that may exist across multiple realities or multiple dimensions, multiple different layers of reality. When alien abductees are taken sometimes, and I'm thinking of like Whitley Strieber and Deep Prasad and others, but those are the most famous. Sometimes they will say they are taken to a deeper level of reality. A different level of reality. They're not here. They're not here. Sometimes they even talk about a sense of timelessness, a place outside of time, which is much like what near-death experiencers describe. This place of no time. Now, how that actually makes sense, I don't know. Because if you're in that space of no time, if Whitley Strieber was taken to a place outside of space and time, well, you have thoughts, right? You have one thought that leads to another, causality. So, that seems to imply a sequence of events of time. But near-death experiencers say it all happens at once. And it's really hard, if not impossible, for us here to wrap our heads around that. So this goes into some weird places. This is a lot of other dimensional stuff, seemingly. Peter Maxwell Slattery, one of my favorite experiencers, who has a lot of deep understanding of this stuff. Take everything he says, use your own discernment. But he says that of all the UFO activity he witnesses and interacts with, because he interacts with this stuff and connects with it and communicates with it, he says only the bottom 10 or 15% is nuts and bolts UFOs. The vast majority of it is like other dimensional stuff. And he's had over 40 remote viewers remote view some of his experiences. So just nuts. I love that Matthew Brown is going there. I mean, I viewed Matthew Brown, or I had viewed Matthew Brown as a very nuts and bolts kind of guy, a tech guy, an intelligence guy, not a guy that would be talking about Enochian languages and stuff. So, wow. I did not see this coming, guys. Tim Clark says Jim Semivan was told to stay away from the alien and UFO phenomenon because it was demonic. Yes, he was. There seems to be indisputable link to the UFO phenomena in angels and demons. Yep, there does. There absolutely does. Now, again, I don't look at it as religious angels and demons, but other dimensional vibratory beings of light and dark, or positive and negative. And they may not all be light and dark. There's probably a lot of gray area and a lot of, cream colored, and instead of pure white. And it's a lot of murky grays instead of all darks. We do seem to be dealing with metaphysical beings in large part, consciousness related beings. that can interact with our consciousness. And I've interacted, and I know many of you have interacted consciously with beings as well. It's a fascinating experience, and it can have real world consequences, and it can manifest in the real world. It's really amazing. The reality that we live in. All my life, I was an atheist who did not believe in UFOs or the spiritual. And, then Luke came out of the closet almost 10 years ago. It's been almost 10 years. We're getting there. A couple of years. It'll be 10 years before Lou came out of the closet and started me on my journey, and many of you too, to a broader understanding of reality. Quickly led me to Skinwalker Ranch. And then things got really trippy when I started investigating that, and then shortly having my own experiences. And I know many of you are lifetime experiencers, and I just can't imagine that. I wish I had known about the reality of this stuff earlier, so that I could have been interacting with this stuff all my life, because my interactions have been very positive. Now, people will have these dark interactions, and they'll talk about the spooky and the demonic and all of that kind of stuff. And I know that exists because I believe those experiencers, and I've seen the evidence. However, all of my experiences have been very positive, except for one where I was ghost hunting in a haunted place, and I got an attachment, a negative attachment that was very unpleasant. Only lasted a couple of days. I got my Reiki practitioner, my Reiki instructor, to remove it, and she did very quickly. It wanted to be gone, or something in me wanted it gone. So thank God I didn't have that for very long. But yeah, that was my only negative experience. I've had some rough ayahuasca journeys, but they weren't because of metaphysical stuff. I don't think. But anyway, let me know what your comments are, what your temperature is. What do you think of Matthew Brown's testimony? Now, if you're just joining us, this is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal, talking about Matthew Brown's insane post. Like and subscribe, all that kind of stuff. If you want me to for sure see your comment, leave a super chat or super thanks, because it will appear in bold on my screen when you do. And I appreciate it. And it encourages me to do live streams like this. Somebody tell Chumbles I don't want him to miss this. He got mad last time because I didn't let him know. I mean, I should have given him a heads up. Damn it. And John Ramirez, where's John? Let's see. Okay, missing all of your great comments. Brooke to himself says, I feel like the multiverse isn't like Marvel's version of different Sims. It's more like a diffusion moire pattern where some branches are viable and some collapse. Ooh, interesting. Oh, I would hate to be in a universe that collapsed. I hope that's not true. Anthony Mackey says, y'all are new, been on this horse for 4 decades. Man, I wish I had been. Hot Action KOP says, the White House, A. I missed that one. Algorithm 42 says, complete disclosure is not an option because it involves the nature of reality. It breaks our chain. Yeah. I mean, how can they disclose fully going from 0 to 60 in a second, right? Because there's so much. I mean, there's other dimensions, there's consciousness aspects, there's metaphysical, there's ramifications to our souls and so on. So yeah, how do you disclose that? You need to, I guess, slowly disclose it over a period of a few years. Don't take too long. But yeah, I mean, you don't want to completely destabilize society. But they should have just been telling us the truth 80 years ago instead of brainwashing us as they had been doing and are still doing. So frustrating. But people need to know. I mean, this does have spiritual ramifications, consciousness and metaphysical ramifications. People need to know about the reality in which we live. Keeping this from us is just wrong on so many levels. It's just a crime, literally, against humanity and against our own humanity. Against the humanity within all of us. That is what they have been doing to us. It's just so wrong. And so we need to know the truth. We need to know everything they know and everything they have been doing. They've been working with beings. God knows what weird modalities they've been engaging with to have some of these contacts. We talked about the Illuminati and stuff. But they also have nuts and bolts craft that seem to have set down and beings coming out of them in dealing with them that way too. So they've been dealing with beings for a long time. They've got their own ships. Matthew Brown is suggesting that Boeing may even have energy vessels, not even nuts and bolts vessels, but energy vessels. That's crazy. Now, could that be like a nuts and bolts vessel that's, phase shifted into like a different form, with its field around it, or maybe it's going outside of space and time, something like that, or, it's got its faster than light drive on. And so that's why it's an energy vessel, or is it actually simply like an energy vessel? So wild. Oh, let's see. White House Hot Action Cop says the White House AI he speaks of is the Project Looking Glass. Allegedly, it cannot predict past 2027, which could be why the whole fear over impending doom. Yeah, the Looking Glass thing. That's a fun story. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if that's a true story or not, but it's a fun story, a creepy story, that it can't see past the year 2027. Yikes, guys. I don't like the sound of that. I'm hoping that means that something really good happens in 2027 and that the conspiracy of silence is over and it just can't see past the lies. Hoping something is positive. Thank you so much, Gustavo. Really appreciate that. It may be hard to people that believe them, UFOs, to start believing in the spiritual stuff. It will be an ontological shock for them as well. Great point, Gustavo. When I first got into this, like I was just saying, I was an atheist. I didn't believe in any of the spiritual stuff. I saw Lou Elizondo coming out, and I looked at some other stuff like the Beaver, Utah UFO that was really compelling to me. And, Lou was great. That got my attention, but he was a government guy. It wasn't really until I did a deep dive into the, Beaver, Utah, that I was like, that's a real UFO. That's a real freaking UFO captured by some random guys with a drone during the daylight. And UFOs are real. Wow. I better look at this Lou guy again and see what his information is. And so that started my, journey into figuring all this stuff out. I circled around Skinwalker Ranch for a long time because that's where the research led, trying to figure out ATIP and OSAP and all of that stuff. Really avoided Skinwalker Ranch for as long as I could because it just seemed so weird and I didn't want to go there. But I did. I took the dive and it led me to all the weird paranormal metaphysical stuff. In addition to some really interesting information about UFOs and skinwalkers and dogmen and portals. Skinwalker Ranch is so crazy. And it led me down a lot of different avenues and rabbit holes. And once I did enough research, and I had to do that research, into the paranormal, into the metaphysical, and I saw the research that had been done on all of these things. And later on, near-death experiences. A lot of research has been done on them. Scientists, doctors have been studying near-death experiences ever since people have been successfully, repeatedly, reliably been able to resuscitate them from heart attacks like 50, 60 years ago. Because that's that era after that is where we get a lot of our information about near-death experiences. And so doctors have been on that and studying it scientifically for that long. So we have a lot of information about near-death experiences and a lot of information, good information about paranormal. And once I was convinced by the paranormal research, especially because I wasn't really there spiritually, I was really looking at it more in nuts and bolts alien terms. I was thinking that the paranormal was really, at first I was thinking the paranormal was really some sort of side effect of alien technology. Yeah, people were seeing ghosts and stuff, and I could see the research. It was pretty solid. Yeah, these were real things. These were really happening, but ghosts weren't real. There were no spirits. So it had to be alien, right? But I started a ghost hunting group, or co-founded a ghost hunting group, and we did some ghost hunting. And it wasn't long before I had my own ghosty experiences and lots of evidence that we gathered and some wild, insane stuff that I wish I could share. I know. But I was convinced that, these were not alien. Something else was going on here. So I went into Google and just typed in, do we have souls? What's Google going to say? Do we have souls? And near-death experiences popped up. And that's when I began my deep dive into near-death experiences. And to date, I have absorbed as many near-death experiences, if not more, than I have alien abductions. And I have done a deep dive into both of those. I have a lot of information on both of those avenues. And there's a weird blending of those two things, too. According to the Edgar Mitchell Foundation, 30% of alien abductees are near-death experiencers. Almost a third of alien abductees have died, been to the other side, and come back. That's a crazy statistic, guys. I don't know what it means, but it's a crazy statistic. And there's other commonalities as well. It's really weird. It's really weird. Yeah. Hey, Siri, do I have a soul? I'm glad I asked that. It was a stupid question, but I'm so glad I asked that of Google. It changed my life because near-death experiences popped up, and I dived into the research on that. And once I had done enough research on near-death experiences, I started listening to the experiencers. And it was around this time that I was getting into Reiki, and I was having my own metaphysical experiences that were uniquely my own, not as a result of the ghost hunting. And those were really amazing experiences. And later on, I had my own UFO experiences. And I've had the crossover of the metaphysical and the UFO experiences. They're all connected. So yeah, I think it's all about how you align your thoughts and your consciousnesses and energies, and maybe even exposure to some of this stuff. Yeah, I wish I understood it, but I'm so glad that I've had my own experiences now. But some of you guys are lifetime experiencers. You were raised with this. It's just normal to you. And I'm so jealous of you guys. And I think that's so cool. And I think we should all be, because things like chi are real. You can heal, you can move stuff, you can do all sorts of stuff with chi. Chi is amazing. We all have this innate connection to the energy. Call it chi, prana, vril, the force, whatever. We all have this innate connection to the energy. And we should all know this. We all have souls. We all connect to the energy. And it's all connected in some capacity to UFOs. So, this is the reality that is hidden from us. And it shouldn't be. People should have access to this information, not just access, but they should be informed. You can walk, you can crawl, you can run. You have the energy. You have access to energy. It's just our innate abilities that we should know about. We have consciousness abilities as well. Brooke to himself says, Skinwalker Ranch was a guilty pleasure for me. I wish I could see the new eps, but you won't catch me paying for cable. Hey, fair enough. I'm a huge fan of the show, though. I'm so glad that, I love Bob Bigelow and what he was able to do at Skinwalker Ranch. But, there's like a iron, there's a, I don't want to say iron curtain, but there is a for real veil over what they have done. It's all locked up in government secrets. And there's not as much information coming out of what they did during the Bigelow era as I would like. We have some information from NIDS and those guys, but once OSAP got into it, not a lot of information. So I'm so glad it switched owners and that the research is continuing in a public way, in such a public way. I think Travis and the team are doing a great job and really pushing things pretty far and getting really compelling, amazing data, sometimes on camera. Hey, John Ramirez, what's going on, man? He says, consciousness, let me see if I can, okay. Consciousness may be the final frontier. E-body, know that. Everybody know that. Okay. Yeah, I think you're totally onto it, man. I think consciousness is the final frontier. I wish I understood how it worked. And what does it have to do with beings from other dimensions? And are they beings of consciousness? Are they of a physical form, but just of a different vibratory frequency? Are there layers of vibratory frequencies going up towards source, getting lighter and higher in frequency as we go toward source? Is that how it works? Are there multiple realities and dimensions? Are there multiple timelines, multiple not just in multiple universes, multiple everything, densities, astral realms, all of that kind of stuff. The research is pretty good. People have experienced all of those things. Could they have been misled? Maybe, but it's pretty compelling if you look at the research into that. And of course, obviously, it has implications into UFOs as well. People will see aliens in near-death experiences. People will see the dead aboard UFOs. There's and some of those are likely screen memories designed to make people more comfortable and feel better. You see your uncle there, you're going to maybe feel more comfortable there, hopefully. But you see Einstein there. Is that really a screen memory? You see Tesla aboard a UFO, as people have. Nikola Tesla, not the car. Is that really designed to make you feel more comfortable? Maybe you're familiar with Tesla, you're familiar with Einstein, so you're more comfortable. Or is it possible that Nikola Tesla and Einstein are still around, out of body or outside of these bodies, and they are working with the beings because the beings are doing stuff and are, continuing to interact with humanity and with other dimensions? Does that have anything to do with abductions? Like I just said, people have seen Nikola Tesla and Einstein during abductions, not assisting in abductions, but working with the beings in some capacity. So isn't that weird? So are those screen memories designed to make the abductee feel more secure? Or is something else going on? Are the dead aboard UFOs? And are some of them working with the beings? Possibly because the beings aren't flesh and blood like we are. Or at least they don't have to be. It's all wild, and I love it, but I want to understand. Oh, let's see. Fast Man Jamma says it all starts with automatic writing. I need to look into that. I've never done any automatic writing. Have you guys? Have you, Fast Man Jamma? Have you done automatic writing? Sergeant Rock says, I hope everyone here hit the like. Yeah, hit the like. Absolutely. Ozzy the new Defiant Acre says, when people say we are all connected, it's because everything is connected. Consciousness connects everything in the universe and the multiverse. I think that's true. Don't Click the Channel says, Einstein is Pudolf. They've discovered reverse aging. It all makes sense now. Just look at Tim Clark says, just looking at Terence McKenna's research into consciousness and a link to John Dee's work in the 16th century. Let's see. Doug says, are there multiple realities and dimensions? I hope not. I wish I could stay conscious and alert in this one. I know, right? UFO disclosure from Hungary. Hi, Jack and all from Hungary. Well, hello, Hungary. I hope you guys are doing great in Hungary. I've always wanted to go to Hungary. I hope I get a chance to go someday. I've been over close, but I've never gotten that far. Dominique says maybe Elon is scared of AI because Matthew knows what it is and trying to get to Elon's senses to not be scared. I may have missed that a little bit, may have garbled that a little bit. But okay, yeah. So getting back to the AI. All right. So, the information from one of you guys was that the reference to AI by Matthew Brown might be Project Looking Glass, which couldn't see beyond the year 2027. Is that the AI that Matthew Brown is talking about? Now, he did say intelligences. He said there were multiple of these AI that had been murdered, these sentient beings that had been murdered. And he tagged Michael Schellenberger in that comment. He says justice will become forthcoming by the FBI and the Navy. So, I mean, taking that literally, he's saying that these AIs have been murdered and that the FBI and the Navy are going to get involved in the investigation and resolution of these murders. I mean, if there's a murder, I could see the FBI maybe getting involved. It was like a, federal issue of some sort, interstate thing. I don't know about the Navy, how they would get involved unless it was maybe their AI. They've done UFO stuff forever. The Navy has been heavily involved in this stuff for a long time. Heck, didn't they write Bob Lazar's paycheck? So, could the Navy and the FBI team up to bring justice to the murderers of these sentient AIs? And is it actually murder if you kill an AI? Because we don't have a law for that. But that's not to say that justice couldn't be served in some capacity by these agencies. I need more information about that, guys. That's insane. I want to know what the hell he's talking about. Agent Cat's Eyes, thank you so much. Disclosure is the final step in God's plan. Okay, I like that. I like that. I'm down with that. Well, I'm ready. I'm ready, God. I'm ready, disclosure. Bring it. Because like I was just saying, the implications of this stuff is so important. We all need to know about the reality that we live in. Reality right now is classified. That's bullshit. Reality should not be classified. So we need UFO disclosure. We need full UFO disclosure. Don't just trot out some pictures of old UFOs or whatever. We need full transparency. We need to know what the what the UFO control group has been doing low these years. They've been in contact with beings. They've been assisting in abductions. They've been going off world. And yeah, because all of this stuff, or a lot of this stuff, does have dimensional and consciousness, spiritual, metaphysical repercussions or implications, there's probably a whole lot that we need to know that could impact us. And we need oversight of whatever the hell they're doing. I mean, do we trust these guys with our souls or with anything that is even in that realm? No, I don't. We need information. We need to know what they're doing. Doug says, Jack, I rely on your channel every day for an update on the phenomenon. Thank you very much, Doug. I don't look at any other news for this. You should look at other news, but thank you. Thank you for your work. People will recognize it in the future. Well, thank you, Doug. I appreciate that. Samuel Stanley says, hello, Jack. Hello, Stan. How's it going, man? Sam has got some interesting experiences. Fast Mama Jamma says, God behind the $21 trillion black budget. I know, right? Yeah, that's insane. It's insane. $21 trillion. Well, is that the deficit, or is that the what is that in reference to? That's not the missing Pentagon money. No, that's not 21 million, but 21 trillion. But yeah, anyway, there's a lot of hidden money that are fueling these programs for sure. Is that where that money goes? Is that where the missing money goes? Is it fueling these black programs? Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. That sounds likely. They also seemingly get some of their money from the black market, from illegal means. At least that was Jonathan Wygant's, Lance Corporal Jonathan Wygant's impression when he was coming across that UFO crash. Was it in Peru in the 90s, and was taken by the UFO control group, and he saw their hub of operations in that area, this multinational group, which was fascinating. You had, people from China there, which was really interesting back in the 90s. Chinese and US and other countries working together on this downed UFO and other likely crashes or operations of some sort. And, it was a terrifying experience for Jonathan Wygant. They were not nice. They were bad. And as you would expect them to be, trying to scare him into silence. Fortunately, it didn't take. You go, Jonathan. But his impression was they were engaging in illegal means of raising money. He didn't go into any detail about that. So, we're left to, our darkest imaginings on that. Thank you, Jonathan. I'd like to know specifically what you're talking about. Are they selling weed, or are they doing something else? UFO Disclosure Hungary says Project Looking Glass has been mentioned by Bob Lazar in 1989 and Dr. Dan Burish in 2001, if I remember right. Supposed to be a technology that can look into the future and manipulate it. Okay, I am going back to Grok. Dang it. Okay, because it's been a minute since I looked up Project Looking Glass. Tell me of Project looking glass. Looking glass. Okay. Okay, looking glass. Okay, Grok says this, it appears in various contexts, ranging from conspiracy theories to documented technological and military initiatives. Okay, the most well-documented reference to Looking Glass is Operation Looking Glass, a U.S. military program that served as an airborne command and control center for nuclear forces during the Cold War. Well, that's not what we're talking about. Okay, conspiracy theory. Yes, give us the conspiracy theory, Grok. Overview in fringe circles. And hey, maybe it is fringe, maybe it's BS, but Grok will say that about anything. Okay. You need to trim my beard. I can taste the water for days afterward. Okay. In fringe circles, particularly on platforms like X, Project Looking Glass is described as a secretive government or military project involving advanced technology capable of viewing or manipulating time, often tied to ET origins or quantum physics. These claims are largely speculative and lack credible evidence. Claims: time viewing technology. Alleged whistleblowers such as Dan Burish and Bill Wood claim Project Looking Glass was developed at Area 51 or other secretive facilities using reverse engineered alien technology or ancient artifacts to see into the past, present, or future. The device is often described as resembling the time travel machine in Contact. Timeline convergence. A popular narrative suggests that by the early 2000s, the device revealed all possible future timelines converging on a single event, often described as a global awakening or cataclysmic shift around December 21st, 2012, tied to Mayan calendar theories. This allegedly alarmed those in power, leading to the project's termination or suppression. So is this the termination that Matthew Brown is talking about? But I mean, 2012 didn't happen unless it secretly did. And I've heard various theories about how it actually secretly did. Connections to other projects. Some sources link it to the CIA's Project Stargate remote viewing or the Montauk Project, suggesting it required psychic operators or quantum technology to function. Okay. All right. Well, that is very interesting. I wish I had credible, solid information about Project Looking Glass that we could really count on and rely on. Obviously, 2012 didn't happen. So if the whole story is revolving around that, I don't know. But yeah, if it's what I'm thinking of, then it couldn't see past the year 2027. Let's ask Grok. Could it see past 2027? Refresh my memory, Grok. Let's see. So what does Grok say? Short answer: there is no credible evidence that Project Looking Glass device exists or confuse the future. Okay, yeah. Okay, where is 2027 mentioned? Post 2012 limitations. If the narrative holds, the convergence would mean no clear future events, including 2027 or beyond, could be viewed distinctly. The idea of a fixed endpoint, 2012, contradicts the ability to see specific year like 2027. So yeah, this isn't the 2027 story according to this. According to this, it would be more closely related to 2027. So yeah, if anybody has the goods on 2027 and what, AI or medium or whatever couldn't see past 2027, let me know. Or if it was Looking Glass, let me know where I can find that information. Yeah, Samuel Stanley, getting back to his experiences, says the Ezekiel's wheel gyroscopic craft that I encountered as a child looked very similar to the wheels within wheels rings from the movie Contact. A lot of stuff goes back to the movie Contact. I see references to Contact all the time. It's really interesting. 2027, Jack will finally do a face reveal. That's right. I don't know what that means, but interesting. Sim says, if really an alien race comes here to Earth, the chance they want to peace and etc. is very small, especially because they probably know everything about us by now. Uh, yeah, yeah, but at the same time, you could say the chances of them wanting war on us is very small because they would have already done that. So we don't know. We don't know why they're here, except that they are abducting massive amounts of people and creating hybrids. And there's other stuff too. Then there's the more esoteric stuff, and it gets weird. But we don't know why they're here. But we do know the abduction program and the hybrid program is a huge effort they have been doing, and this is over generations. It's a huge, massive effort. I've gone into the numbers on that. I mean, many occasions. Yeah, the bloodline stuff. Yeah, over generations are really weird. I guess that's what you're talking about. Brooke to himself says John Ramirez has clarified his earlier statement about 2027. He says he was in a meeting where they were basically saying all these channelers were talking about 2027. Now, not that they had real info. Yeah, I shared his original comments like yesterday, a couple of days ago, that were the more provocative comments. And that was because a couple of days before that, I shared his new comments where he had kind of downplayed his original comments. So I wanted to share his original comments to give context on what he was downplaying. But yeah, he's definitely been downplaying the alarming nature of his original comment, or his very provocative nature. I mean, what does that mean? Are we going to have giant UFOs flying over cities? What's going to happen? Right? All right. Simo says, I can't believe there hasn't been more coverage about Brown's tweet. Yeah, man, it was crazy. I'm really waiting for comments from any of those people that he tagged, whether that's Jeremy Corbell or Schallenberger. I mean, maybe Elon Musk will reply. I mean, right? You never know. I think this is getting some play. I think that it's being seen, at least by all of us in the community. Hopefully, it's getting outside of the community. And it'll get some play and get some responses so that we can get some more information. And maybe he'll follow up explaining exactly what he meant. Bringing, Enochian language and references to the Antichrist into a conversation about UFOs in reverse engineered craft and things that Boeing has. How does it all go together? What does it mean? Super fascinating, super weird, super, provocative. Talk about provocative. Okay. All right, guys, I'm kind of running out of steam here. I'll give it another 5 minutes and then I'll probably hit the road here. Probably need to get some lunch. But let me know if you guys have any final questions. Again, passing the bucket around one last time. If you want me to for sure see your comment, or if you just want to encourage future live streams like this, leave a super chat or a super thanks, and I will definitely read your comment because it will appear in bold on my screen, and I'll even put your comment up on the board like this. And appreciate that. So Tim says, Jack, the book of Enoch in the Bible talks about beings that are called the Watchers to look after humanity. Yeah, I've heard about the Watchers. Yeah. So you think those are the beings? You think those are, and if they are the beings, which group of beings? Are those the Greys? Are those the Nordics? Are those the Angelics? What are we talking about? What's your thought? Rob says, okay, Tim's going to send me a link. Okay, cool. Okay, where would Rob's comment go? Rob says, geoengineering, terraforming, genetic engineering, and consciousness development. That's what they're here for. Okay, I like that. I mean, I don't know about the terraforming. I wrote a book based on that, and it didn't go well for the people that got terraformed. Logan says, I wonder which species is involved with producing the Greys. The Grey beings seem like advanced AI robots and are programmed and built for specific purposes. Yeah, they really do. The tall grays, interestingly, many people say are organic. They are like the real aliens. That the small grays that are fake are replicas, AI, artificial, synthetic, whatever they are, may have been based on. Maybe. Yeah, well, we need solid answers on that. But a lot of experiencers have said that the tall grays are organic and the small grays are the inorganic ones. So we'll see. Take care. Get some Shipley's. Ah, man, I wish I could. There's a Shipley's right down the road. I love Shipley's, but I became gluten intolerant a few years ago. And the one down the road doesn't have any gluten-free donuts. Now, Shipley's does make gluten-free donuts, but only at certain locations. Not this location, sadly. Let's see. Logan says, okay, we did the tall grays. Let's see. Yeah, Silver Gray says that Matthew Brown Twitter stuff is strange, very strange. I thought his interview with George and Jeremy was legitimate. Yeah, that was a great interview. Rob says they have been here. The beings have been here from the start. They are the architects and engineers of our world and its life. Okay. Jorge says Bledsoe was the main 2027 guy. Well, okay, just to clarify about 2027, we're not talking about the big contact event in 2027. And I think Chris is actually 2026. Obviously, roughly in that time frame, but John Ramirez and Lou Elizondo were the 2027 guys, maybe some others. And I say that Lou Elizondo was one of the 2027 guys because in 2022, he said, get a hobby for 5 years. So implying that something's going to happen in 2027, right? Seemingly. Maybe that's just how long he thought the disclosure process was going to take to get going or to complete. Either way, I want to say there was an additional person talking about 2027, at least one more, but Chris Bledsoe was about 2026. He thinks it's going to be Easter 2026. Others have said, no, actually, it's going to be October. That's the date the lady gave him. So I guess we'll see in Easter or October next year if any of that happens. But yeah, we were trying to see what artificial intelligence or medium or whatever, what is the story that they couldn't peer past a certain year? Was that 2027? What is that information? What's the story there? I used to know this, but it slipped my mind. So if you could refresh my memory, that'd be great. But yeah, it's an interesting story. Okay, let's see. Todd says, got you live. Jack rocks. Well, you too, Todd. Thank you so much. Don't click the channel says MH370, if legit, proves plasma tech, free energy, time travel, and another dimension. Yeah, MH370 is weird, and I think there's some there. It's either deliberate disinformation designed to hide skullduggery, like shooting down that plane. However, if they shot down the plane, we would have a debris field, most likely. Or bodies, or both. Basically, this has never happened before, where you have a massive plane like MH370 crash without either a debris field or bodies. Usually you get both of those with a crash like this. So it's really anomalous just on the face of it. It doesn't make any sense. And then of course you had the videos, and yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Something's off with that. Something happened. So anyway, I'm gonna go get a taco. But thank you guys for joining me today. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun trying to break down Matthew Brown's crazy post. What did he mean? What did he mean, guys? All right, love you guys. I will talk to you next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road signing out.